you please step right up, it's drier the farther in you go.
I think the rain may be let
They
up for
promise
just
not
a
to
minute.
shut you in,
Maybe we can get you.
but they do have to eat. This is family.
We have chairs, but you'd have to sit in a puddle, so
We suggest that you stand.
Come on up, just watch your step. Just watch your step.
Yeah, so
This is the Kahler family vault, and we have two members of the Kahler family to welcome you. Ladies, good evening.
good evening, and that is correct. We are direct descendants of the Kahler family. My name is Jennifer Davis Thompson, and this is my sister Wendy Davis, and we are born and raised right here in Floyd County. And behind us is actually in a better lighting. Let's see if I can get my flashlight to work. You are at the Kahler. You're at the Kahler Mausoleum, and entombed inside are our great-great-grandparents, Ferd Kahler Sr. and his wife, Mary Matilda Lease. And we also have our great-grandparents, Ferd Jr. and his wife, Maud Bornwasser Kahler. And our grandparents, Mary Martha Kahler Davis and her husband, Clifford C. Davis. And we're going to share with you the history of the Kahler family with all of its successes and its tragedies. We share it all. And we are going to tell you about the immigration over all the way through their deaths. So I'm going to let Wendy get it started.
Hello. The Ferd Kahler family is best remembered as one of New Albany's leading employers. The firm, the Kahle Company, specialized in wood products, one of which was woodworking for automobile bodies, which they manufactured for close to 40 years. The Kahlers were affiliated with several automobile manufacturers, but the largest client by far was the Ford Motor Company.
That's right. Ferd Kahler Sr. was born on November 20th, 1864 in Hermsdorf, Bohemia, which is now the Czech Republic. He was the son of Anton and Genevieve, who also was known as Jenny, probably where I got my name, right? And he had 4 siblings, Teresa, Joseph, August, and Bertha. At age 17, Ferd sailed from Germany to New York in 1881, all alone. And after brief stays in Reading, Pennsylvania and Louisville, Kentucky, he relocated here in Floyd County in Silver Grove. In 1884, he took a position as a carpenter with the Ohio Falls Manufacturing Company. And that's where he continued to work. And through 1899, the Ohio Falls Car Manufacturing Company was one of 13 individual car builders that merged to form the American Car and Foundry Company, where he also continued to work.
Ferdinand married Mary Matilda Lease on May 11, 1886, right here in Floyd County. They had one child, Ferdinand Nickolas Kahler Jr., and he was born on March 15, 1887. The family purchased 2 lots in Silver Grove, lots 17 and 19 for $400 total in July of 1887. In 1888, Ferd's mother, father, and brothers and sisters, they all sailed over to the United States on the SS America.
That's right. And while the extended family was relocating to the United States, Ferd Sr. had been very busy getting his businesses started, but he had also been very busy inventing things. He was an inventor. And in 1896, while living in Silver Grove, he obtained a patent for a machine for cutting noodles. And we have a picture of that inside that you're more than welcome to take a look at the end. And 3 years later, he had another patent in 1899 for an extension platform, which was probably for a larger train car. And in 1990, Ferd Sr. and his neighbor obtained a patent for an improved braking system for a platform of a car or other vehicle. And in later 1902, Ferd left the employment of the car company and he helped organize the New Albany Table Company, which was a manufacturer of extension tables, folding tables, beds, and sideboards.
That's true. In 1903, the New Albany Directory under Carpenters and Builders listed the New Albany Table Company with Ferd N. Kahler as a secretary and treasurer. Their main product, like Jennifer said, was extension tables. Also during the same time, in April 1903, Ferd and Mary purchased the Huntsman property on Cedar Bow for $2,400, and they moved there from Silver Grove. In March 1904, Ferd, along with several other businessmen, formed the Employer and Businessmen's Association of New Albany. The intent was to discourage strikes and lockouts and to encourage friendly relations between employer and employee. The importance of this association purpose would not be realized for over 40 years.
And wow, will it be important, and you'll hear about that too. But back in 1905, Ferd later assumed control of the New Albany Table Company, and he reorganized it as Ferd, Kahler and Son. And just 2 short years later, in 1907, it was reorganized again as the Kahle Company. This company was in the business of store and saloon fixtures, special furniture, and really anything that was a special made-to-order wood product. And in 1907, the Kahle Company was still located down at the corner of Oak and Pearl, and the building is still there. It's in rough condition right now, but it is still there. But they had plans to build a new facility located on the west side of Vincennes Street and on the north side of Charlestown Road near the railroad tracks there. And that's when the really exciting things started to happen for the Kahle Company.
The Kahler Company's first automobile body order was announced in the August 17, 1909 edition of the New Albany Public Press. It read, "The Kahler Company has received from an Eastern automobile concern an order for a large number of automobile beds amounting in the aggregate of $30,000. The beds are to be shipped east as fast as they are completed, and the contract will keep the factory in operation at its fullest capacity for 6 or 8 months." But by September 1909, the new Kahler factory was nearing completion.
That's right, and this factory was so cutting edge that the Kahle Company was featured in the March 1912 issue of Carriage Monthly. The article noted that Kahler had initially started with those home furnishings and other office fixtures, but he had soon recognized that there was a better business opportunity by manufacturing automobile bodies. And so in 1908, he decided to take up the manufacture of those auto bodies. An early order of 6,000 bodies was secured, and the Kahler Company was so successfully executed that order that he had no problem obtaining additional orders of even greater magnitude. The article also noted that the new factory was one of the most modern of its kind in the entire country, with its own electric power plant and all of the machinery connected to the individual motors by means of special gears. And meanwhile, on the family side of things, my great-grandpa, Ferd Kahler Jr., married Maud Bornwasser on September 29, 1912, at age 25.
As early as 1913, the Ford Motor Company began assembling Model Ts at a small facility located at 931 South 3rd Street, right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Ford's business increased at such a rate that a 4-story assembly plant was constructed in the intersection of 3rd Street and Eastern Parkway in 1915. In 1916, Kahler was awarded the contract to supply the new factory with the numerous wooden components required in assembling the Model T automobile. A serial number preceded by the letters KA stamped on the Ford Model T frame member indicated that it was made right here in New Albany at the Kahler factory.
All right, so getting ready for that Ford contract, by 1915, the Kahler Company had broken ground for an addition to the Vincennes Street facility, which was going to double its present capacity. And by January 1917, after the contract, the Kahler Company had received a very large order for Ford coachwork. The Tribune announced, "The Kahler Company, located on the Y in New Albany, has recently been engaged by Henry Ford to manufacture Ford automobile bodies. This is reputed to be the largest manufacturing order ever received by a New Albany concern and will require an output of 200 cars daily, as soon as details of the equipment can be completed." But it was never completed because tragedy struck.
On March 23, 1917, the Kahler Company factory was located on the corner of Grant Line and Vincennes, was destroyed by the New Albany tornado. 6 people died, 17 people were killed. It was leveled. The loss was estimated at $75,000.
And today, there's a historical marker located behind the old, what was known as Lillian Emery School. There's a marker inside the playground about that tornado's destruction. But back then, when the Michigan cities heard about the factory being completely destroyed, they petitioned to have the Kahler Company relocate near Detroit, the Motor City, right? So, but Ferd Kahler was having none of that, and he decided to remain here in New Albany. And in May 1917, shortly after that tornado, he started building a new, spacious manufacturing plant just located north of the Monon Y. And the plant had 100,000 square feet of floor space and employed as many as 300 men, and used lumber brought in from Kentucky and Tennessee in amounts up to 1 million board feet per month. In 1918, Ferd Kahler Sr. did take a position with the company up in Michigan, but Ferd Kahler Jr. took charge of the Kahler Company here in New Albany. And also in July 1918, it was a very great year for him, my grandma, Mary Martha Kahler, was born, and she was the only child of Ferd and Maud Kahler.
In April of 1920, a strike by the railroad yardsmen in Indianapolis forced a temporary halt of the Kahler Company's manufacturing of these automobile bodies because of the freight embargo. More than 200 men were temporarily out of a job. Then the post-war recession caused the Kahler Company to shut down in December of 1920 and not reopen again until April of 21. But the Kahler Company resumed work with 180 employees with an expected output of 280 auto bodies per day. By that time, the plant had engaged exclusively in the manufacture of bodies for Ford cars. And by 1921, the Kahler Company boasted that it had an annual production capacity of 93,000 automobile bodies, most of which were shipped right across the river to the Ford motor plants.
That's right, and things continued to go on an upswing until November 14th of 1927. And then great-great-grandpa Ferd Kahler Sr., head of the Kahler Company, died. The Associated Press Newswire reported the next day, on November 15, 1927, that Ferd Kahler Sr., age 62, manufacturer of automobile bodies and one of the most important industries in the city, died last night. After his death, our great-grandpa Ferd Jr. and the Kahler Company continued to supply the automobile industry with various wood components and composite automobile bodies well into the Second World War. But in November 1937, the Kahler Company's employees aligned themselves with the United Auto Workers Union, the UAW, after negotiations lasting 3 months, and that changed everything.
10 years later, in May of 1947, the Kahler Company filed notice of dissolution and was placed up for sale. After a 7-week employee strike, the second one that year on the same issue. The prolonged and repeated union strikes Ferd Sr. sought to avoid 43 years earlier was ultimately the demise of the Kahler Company. The factory remained vacant for 10 years, and in July of 1958, it was purchased by the National Homes Corporation, one of the country's largest manufacturer of prefab homes.
That's right, and from July 1958 to January 1959, our great-grandpa Ferd Kahler Jr. was absolutely despondent over the sale of the factory. And on January 29, 1959, he shot himself with a revolver in his Crestview home. The New Albany Tribune headline read, "Retired millionaire Kahler kills self with revolver. Wife witnesses shooting." Floyd Coroner Cannon undecided if death was accident or suicide. He was 71 years old.
Our great-great-grandmother, Mary Lease Kahler, Ferd Sr.'s widow, resided in the same house at 837 Cedar Bow until her death in 1932. Their home on Cedar Bow is located in the Cedar Bow Place Historic District, and the home received a facelift award from the New Albany Historic Preservation Commission in 2011. At the time of her death, her obituary reported that she was prominent in church and club circles and was considered one of the wealthiest women in New Albany.
Our great-grandma, Maud Bornwasser Kahler, died at age 80 in 1970. My grandma, Mary Kahler Davis, married Clifford C. Davis, who was the president of his own wood manufacturing company located in Charlestown, Indiana. It was called Rocket Wood Products Company, which contracted with Motorola to manufacture wooden TV consoles. My grandpa Davis died very suddenly and very young at age 39. But my grandma, Mary Kahler Davis, lived to be 89, and she died in 2008.
We hope you've enjoyed hearing about the Kahler family and the Kahler Company as much as we've enjoyed sharing it with you. The love of the automobile with the Kahlers, though, still lives on. Our dad, Clifford C. Davis, has an extensive collection of automobiles, including a 1930 Model A Ford. Our brother Trey and my youngest son Dylan work at the Ford Company.
So we hope that you've enjoyed our sharing of the Kahler story, and we appreciate you coming out in the weather and giving us a chance to share it. We're super proud of the Kahler story, and we encourage you to come up and take a look inside and see some of the pictures that we would love to share with you.
Thank you.